Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Young Electrician Podcast. My name is Ruben Young, aka the Young Electrician. Here on this podcast, we like to see electricians grow, not just in the trade, but also in their own personal lives. Try to have a holistic approach. We believe there should be a work-life balance, and you should get benefit and reward from both, and they should complement each other and not compete against each other. So with that said, today's topic is going to be, what are the qualifications for becoming an electrical journeyman in the state of California? The way we're going to tackle that question is we are going to look at what the requirements are on the journeyman exam form that you'll get from the DIR website, the form that all of us have to fill out in order to take the journeyman exam test. So with that said, let's hop right into it. All right. Hey guys, if you want to follow along with the journeyman exam form, you guys could just do a quick Google search. Just type in journeyman exam form for California, and one of the first things to pop up will be a PDF download. You guys can just download it, but if not, no worries. I'm just going to use it as a springboard to kind of walk through the different types of requirements you might need in order to take the exam here in California. So no worries if you can't. Just sit back and listen and try to glean something. All right, let's hop right in. Okay, so you'll notice that there are 6 different types of requirements in order to become a journeyman in the state of California. And if I were to ask anybody, how do I become a certified journeyman in California? They'll say, hey, you'd have to get, 900 or 920 hours of school, whatever that is, and in class, sitting in class, working through a workbook, and you would need to get 8,000 hours of on-the-job experience. And although that is true, that's not all of it. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go one by one through these, and I'm just going to explain what I learned from experience, from reading, from talking to other people on each one of these. So you can see what category you fall in and what would be the best approach for you to use your experience to take and pass the journeyman exam. All right, let's hop right into it. All right, the first is an apprenticeship certificate. So when you're filling out the form to become a journeyman, you have to send multiple pieces of paper along with the form. Some of it is an attachment of your school completion. You'll send that with it. Some of it might be a proof of certification in a different state if you're coming from a different state. Some of it is definitely your work history. The number one thing all of us will need is work history to show that we have the on-the-job training. So when we're looking at the first one, it says the apprenticeship certificate. This is a certificate you get for completing an apprenticeship program. So let's say if you're in California like I am, that would be ABC, WICA, or one of the many unions out here. If you went through their apprenticeship and you completed it, you will get a certificate saying you completed their schooling, their apprenticeship schooling, and you will send that with this form. So that means one requirement is you would have completed an apprenticeship program, and you would have 8,000 hours of work history, work experience. And you'll take these two things, a form from your school, the form from either the Social Security Administration or your W-2s to prove your work history, and you'll send those together with the journeyman exam form, the application, and a check. Obviously, you need to pay for this. Ain't nothing free here in California in order to take the exam. So one approach is the approach of being an apprentice, and those requirements to be met would be completing an apprenticeship program and getting 8,000 hours. But a lot of us don't go into an apprenticeship program. Some of us just start working. So that's where the second one comes in. If you guys are looking at the form, if not, no worries. The second one is on-the-job experience. Now, this one is interesting because I've heard for so long that they do not accept this anymore, but it's still on the form. So they accept it. But I want to explain to you guys how that process works. Let's say you've done no schooling at all. Let's say you just started your electrical career, you started working, nobody sweated you. Or let's say you're one of those guys that signed up for a class back in the day when you could, and you signed up for an electrical class and you sent your paperwork in to get your ET card, and you just started working. And once a year, you'll sign up for a class in order to send that information into the state to get your ET card renewed, but you never actually went to school. So you have no schooling, but you have work history. You have 8,000 hours, 4 years completed of on-the-job training, and you wanted to get certified without having to go to school. So you're actually in luck because they accept that's a requirement. Or if you're doing the on-the-job experience approach, the only requirement is you have on-the-job experience. So what does that look like? I have I had a coworker. We don't work together anymore, but he had a little bit of schooling. He finished all of his work hours, and he didn't want to finish the school hours. So he took the approach of trying to do the on-the-job experience approach to, taking the Journeyman exam. And let me tell you that what happened. He sent his paperwork in. He sent his social security information, work history, along with the form, along with the money. And they sent him a letter back saying that they needed further proof of on-the-job experience. And this is what they asked for. They asked him to get a written letter from each of his previous employers that he's had experience with that had the name of their company, the contracting number that they contracted under, and I think like somebody to call, like somebody in the office or the owner, somebody's phone number to reach out to confirm. And they wanted written letters from each of his old companies saying how many hours he worked there and just verifying that, yes, he worked for us. He has this work experience. I'm vouching for him. So if you are going to take the on-the-job experience approach with no schooling, you're not going to use your schooling. You're not going to send a shred of information regarding any schooling you've taken. You're going to go 100% off of your on-the-job experience. You are going to need letters from your previous employers or your employer that you're with right now, confirming from them that you actually have that experience. So just keep that in mind. And I want to note one thing that's really cool about the DIR. I mean, I don't know any agency for the state that does a great job, but one thing I do appreciate is if there's something you're missing or something you mess up on your application, they don't send you all your information back. They don't send you your check back with your form and want you to redo it. They send you like a correction sheet. I'll call it that. They send you a correction sheet saying, hey, provide us this further information so we could complete your application. So I think that's really cool because they literally spell it out for you exactly what they need, and then you can send it to them and, move on with your life. So that's the second approach and the requirements for it. The third is if you are licensed in another state. So I don't know if this has to, I think this is in regards to all other states. If you have a state certification and you've completed schooling there, whatever their certification process is, you would send a copy of your certificate, your card, your Journeyman card or electrical card, whatever the heck they call themselves out there. You'll send that along with your Social Security report. So you're going to send two things. It has nothing to do with your schooling. Because you're certified in another state, you're going to send a copy of your certification card from that state along with a Social Security printout of your work history, or you'll send your W-2 forms. I know everybody says they don't accept W-2 forms, but so far I haven't seen anybody's application get denied because they didn't send their Social Security history. I know multiple people that sent their W-2s in with the Journeyman application, and it got accepted. So take that for, what it's worth. So if you're licensed in another state, you can use that certificate to get licensed in California. So that's pretty cool. The fourth one is if you're an apprentice, the first thing we talked about being in an apprenticeship program that's here in California, ABC, WICA, or one of the many unions. If you're in your last year, I can't even talk. If you're in your last year, you're going to send what's called a DAS-1 form. I guess that's just showing, where you're at in your process of your schooling. If you're a part of an apprenticeship program, talk to the program. If you're in your last year and you want to take the test early, talk to the people in your school and get the proper information for that. I haven't met anybody that took it in their last year. Everybody I met that has been a part of an apprenticeship program has taken it after they completed their program. So talk to your higher ups, because if you're in your last year and you just want to get it over with, you don't want anything standing in your way once you complete your schooling, once you complete your apprenticeship program, and you want to take it early, talk to your higher ups, because they do accept people in their last year of apprenticeship, their apprenticeship program. So in that case, you'll send the proper documentation showing that you're in a apprenticeship program, you're in your last year. And just note that once you take and pass the test, they will not send you your certificate card. They're not going to send you your Journeyman card until you complete the apprenticeship program. So they will not send you a card. You have to complete the program, and then they'll send you the card if you take the exam early. Okay. So the fifth is an electrical trainee, and this is the approach that I took. I wasn't actually allowed in any of the apprenticeship programs when I first tried to become an electrician. I had a GED, and at the time, they didn't accept GEDs. Now, when I talk to people that work for these schools or even in the union, they tell me they've always accepted GEDs, and that is a lie. Or they just lied to me because for whatever reason they didn't want me in their programs. I have no clue why. Probably because I looked like a cholo at the time, but we're not going to talk about that. They didn't accept me into any of their programs, so I went to a trade school and completed all my schooling. I went into an accelerated training school, so I finished all my schooling in 11 months, and then I was able to go to work. Then I had to complete the 8,000 hours of work before I could take my Journeyman test. But I actually learned that with accelerated programs like the one I took, you're actually able to take the test early. So if you do have the form and you're looking at it on the fifth box that says electrician trainee has completed approved curriculum, you could actually take the exam right after you finish your schooling. Just like being in your last year as an apprentice, they're able to take the exam early. You're actually able to take the exam early as a trainee if you've taken an accelerated program. So it's the same thing though. If you take it, you could take it, but it's kind of useless because you're not going to get that card until you finish your 8,000 hours of work. I could see the benefit of it for somebody. You just did 11 months of school. It's fresh in your mind. You've learned all these calculations, how to navigate the code book. You just take a Journeyman prep class and you pass it. It's done. It makes sense. But on the negative side, now you still have to wait 4 years before you could actually get your certificate. So yeah, there's pros and cons there, but that is a possibility. And a lot of you are paying for your own classes and getting that ET card and just going to work. So just know that when you apply to become a journeyman, you will need to show that you have 900 hours of school, that you've completed an electrical training program. So you have that certificate of completion, which proves you have 900 hours. And you would have to send your work history, that you have 8,000 hours of work history along with that, with this form, with a check, in order to take the exam. So the last one is I think it's the NICET certification, but that's for fire alarms. So we're not going to cover that right now because I have no clue what, goes into fire alarm stuff. So what are the requirements? For the most part, if you're in an apprenticeship or, you're going to pay for your own schooling as a trainee, you need to show your school history that you've completed an accredited program either as an apprentice or as a trainee. If you don't want to go that route and you've just been working and you've already got your hours and you don't want to go back and have to do a bunch of schooling, you can just apply with your work experience and you can go and take the test. So that's awesome. If you're certified in another state and you want to move to California for some strange reason when everybody else is trying to leave, then you're able to take that card, take your work history, and send it with this form and get certified. So that's really cool. I do appreciate that, there's not just one narrow way into becoming an electrician. It's, there's a few different ways to do it. And I can honestly say that I appreciate that. So just note, I want to just add this in at the end. We are coming to a point in California that if you are a journeyman, there is a difference between a skilled worker journeyman and just a journeyman electrician. A skilled worker journeyman is somebody who has completed an approved apprenticeship program. And by sometime this year, I believe, in 2024, I believe it's 60% of all workers on prevailing wage jobs, public works jobs, the majority of the public works jobs will have to be a skilled worker journeyman. So that means if you're a journeyman and you didn't go through an apprenticeship program, you will have a very slight chance of getting on that project. And this is going to affect electrical trainees as well. Electrical trainees will no longer be allowed on certain public works jobs. I'll try to get that information because I've been gathering that information for myself. I'm going to try to get that information and maybe make a little podcast episode about that to kind of just share that information so you guys can be aware of it. I do know that some apprenticeship schools are offering an accelerated program. I don't think it's that long that you'd have to take that will allow you to be considered a skilled worker journeyman if you're already a journeyman. So just know that those things are going to be taking place, I believe, this year. And it is going to make it a little more difficult for people who, paid their own way becoming, an electrical trainee. You can probably hear my frustration in that. So I'm going to end that right there. So if you guys got anything out of this, go ahead and leave a comment, send me a message, like this, share it with other people, and shoot me your questions. I love to just clarify if anything didn't come across well and I have to just dive back into it. Feel free to just message me and, let me know. With that said, hey, take care, everybody. I'll see you on the next one.